What's up, Tube? Welcome back to Low Guido's Chop Shop, second best Gel Blaster channel on the tubes. And today I have got the Quasar from Gel Fight. I don't know who Gel Fight is, but the Quasar. It's a pretty futuristic little cyberpunk pistol. You can see on the side of the box here it's available in a couple of different colors, but the one that I have is black, of course. In the box we've got some dehydrated gel ball. I don't know what they are. They're white. They could be Milkies. Milkies. There is some safety glasses. I'd probably advise getting better ones than that. And then you have your Quasar ended magazine. There is also a battery charger, and the battery lives in here. It is a small LiPo battery, and I will whack that one on the charger so that I can load this thing up and get some chrono shots out of it. Interesting little side drum thing. Sticks out the side there, so if you're left-handed, kind of sucks. But if you're right-handed, it's a interesting little setup. It's relatively easy to change, so long as you get this line lined up. You get that line lined up when you put it in, otherwise it's not going in. Because it is a circle, when you first look at it, there's no sort of obvious direction, except for the fact that that's where the terminals have to go for the magazine prime. Interesting looking little piece, isn't it? Look at that. Kind of like it. Looks futuristic, and yeah, it looks not replica-ish, which is another kind of cool thing about it. This one is very black, but particularly if you got one of the other, like the green one or something like that, very non-replica-ish, so perhaps even legal in some of the haram states where blasters aren't allowed if they look like replicas. It's got it's made of a nice solid feeling nylon, which is interesting. I thought this was going to be a bit crappy, to be honest. It's got two different options for rear sights. You're going to flip down rear sight there. Very solid nylon. Surprisingly solid. It does appear also to have an alloy barrel in there. Looks like it's a pink alloy barrel. Very cool looking little piece. I don't even need to do close-ups as such because I can do it from here. Look at that. It's interesting looking little trigger guard thing here. Not quite sure what's got all this bit in here, but you know, future cyberpunk. This piece here actually is a functioning safety. Incidentally, it's got an ambi functioning safety, even though left-handing this is not something you're going to want to do because the magazine is on the side. The drum, whatever you want to call this, sits on the side. So, I mean, it's got ambi. It's also got ambi charging handles. Ambi features, but it's not really ambi friendly just because of the design. I didn't realise initially when I saw photos of this that it was not symmetrical. I thought that this kind of would sit in the middle and then you'd have kind of equally awkward holding positions, but no, it's sits out to the side. Interesting. Release button on the back there, and there is a door here in which you pour your hydrated Orbeez. Looks like a significant capacity or a not insignificant capacity. It's not the whole drum for what it's worth. Just due to the nature of the way gel blasters work, you can't occupy this whole drum, so it's only about half the drum that's full, so it's only like this top half. So seems like a reasonable amount that you can fit in there. I will be getting some to pop in there, and we'll get a charge in this battery, take this thing to the chrono and see how we go. This switch here I believe is the selector switch as well. Do not aim at eyes. Good advice. Alright, I've got some Orbeez here. In case you don't know what these are small balls of a super absorbent polymer which sort of squash on impact, and fairly harmless. That's what this toy propels. So I'm just gonna load a bunch of them inside here, and we will see at what sort of velocity we can propel an Orbi. And I got this thing relatively full. I could probably squeeze more in there, to be honest, if I wanted to really push the envelope. Squeeze some more in there, and then close that little notch there, and then we're gonna load this in like so. Now, battery pops into this little section in the back here. It's quite a tight little compartment that they've allowed for this battery, but it gets in there. Alright. Now, charging handle does have a mag priming function. So, that's kind of cool. That tells me that there's probably some sort of electronic fire control unit inside this. Also, the fact that it's got a selectable switch here tells me that might be the case as well. Let's do some chrono. Okay, here we go. Safety off. Now, that's not bad actually. For a, it's okay. So it's not a powerhouse, but it's for a pistol, for an electric pistol, that's an okay number. Let's give it some auto, hey? Alright, we did have a little bit of a feeding issue there. Sometimes these lower powered pistols don't like the hardened gels as much. These are the hardened gels that I'm using. Let's have a look. So we got a max of 180, min of 21. That was probably an anomaly. Something went wrong with the feed, I'd guess. Yeah, we got a couple of misfeeds there. But like they dropped our average to 147. I'd put this as an average of 170. Personally, if we were to get rid of those low numbers, dragging the average down, 170, 180, that's not bad for a pistol. For a little electric pistol. I mean, gas pistol's obviously more powerful, but for a little electric pistol, 180's reasonable numbers. We could probably maybe squeeze more out of them. Yeah, not too shabby. Okay, so interesting thing I just noticed as well, when I took the drum mag out, as I took it out, a whole bunch of gels just fell out the bottom here, which is where it feeds from. So that means there is a hole here at the bottom. So the magazine actually feeds downwards. It feeds down into here. And so I imagine it must feed down into here, then up this grip into the barrels here. So it must feed, the feed tube in this thing must it must go up the grip and be amazingly long. Like that's, I kind of expected it to be feeding out here somewhere, but then again, I should have noticed that there was no hole here. The hole is on the bottom. The hole is on the bottom, and it feeds down into the pistol grip. That's crazy weird. Kinda excited to open this up and have a look now. Yeah, that's a weird design. Yeah, interesting. Alright, well then. Guess there's nothing left to do but to have a look. Take it apart. Let's have a look. Now, given this is a fully nylon blaster, it appears if I flip it over this side, I've got a whole bunch of little, probably self-tap screws in the side here. So that's how we're going to take it apart. They're all hex head. It's like maybe a 2.5 millimeter hex head. Alright, I'm going to go get a screwdriver. Alright, 2 millimeter hex screw, and I'm gonna start taking them apart. I don't know how to take one of these things apart, so I'm just starting by undoing all the screws. Now, they are self-tapped into nylon, which isn't the greatest. I don't love self-tappers into nylon, and I'll tell you exactly why. This is why. Right here. You can see this screw that just came out has already come out with half the plastic on it still, so that's not ideal. continue on. Hopefully they're not all stripped. Interesting, this one that came out of the back here is a machine thread, a fine thread, whereas the rest of them all seem to be like a coarse self-tapping thread. So that one's a fine thread. Interesting. Let's keep going. Now, these ones may be too deep for my bit. I need a deeper bit. Alright, well, looks like doing these ones the old-fashioned way. I'll get back to you. Alright, now to the best of my knowledge all the screws have been removed. Let's see if we can't take this apart. Alright, the top half seemed... Oh, okay, right, okay. So the top section is a separate section. There we go. Alright. Okay, so this top cover all comes off. That's your charging handle there. And then underneath that we have more screws. Alright. Interesting. It's an interesting... It's got that little cover on there. Is this side a cover too, or is that... I guess it would have to be. That's very intriguing. I imagine that this ambi portion of the selector's got to probably come out. Okay, so it appears that the remaining screws in here are what hold the other half of this in. Can I reach them with my... Yes, I can. Okay. Very interesting build. I can see that there's at least one other screw post in this battery holder in here, but that screw post appears to be under this. Is this a plate that comes off? Is that a sneaky plate that pops off? Oh, there's a sneak... This one does. Hang on, that doesn't. This one does? On this side? Sneaky plate. And get a little shim in there. Feels like it should come off. I swear, if there was a screw hiding under... Oh, the bottom one too. There's a screw hiding under these. It's the sneakiest screw I've ever come across. These plates are so difficult to remove. They're so tight. I've managed to get them off. I might actually be able to get something with a bit of leverage in there now. Just a bigger pry. Hey, there we go. We got something here. Got something. Oh, jeez. Did not make it easy on me. Alright, there's the last screw. Oh, I say the last. Last one in this bottom piece anyway. So alright, so that should... Alright. That gets that apart. Was there anything hiding under the other side? Or was that just a complete waste of time? No, there's nothing hiding under there. Oh, jeez. But this side here had the screw. Wow. Wow, they did a good job of hiding that one, I tell you. Alright, what do we got? Alright, this section. Entirely. The entire back section. Oh, look at that feed tube. Yeah, it does exactly what I said. Oh, wow, look at this. All the way. Down, around, up. I would not be surprised if there is still some gels in there. This box is reminiscent of something I've opened in the past. Can't put my finger on it, but it looks very familiar. Oh, look, there's a little MOSFET. Literally a little MOSFET. Let me zoom in. There's literally a couple of MOSFETs down in here. Imagine on the back of that is a switch. Oh, the switch is down here. Right, for the select fire. And then the micro switch there for the trigger, which is currently engaged by the safety, which is just a physical, it's literally just a physical block to stop you from pressing that micro switch. And the little gearbox in there. Oh, and of course the charging switch back here, the priming switch back here. This is obviously the FET's obviously smart enough to have prime. It's a cute little MOSFET board. I've not seen that exact board before, but it's got two quite large MOSFETs on this side, and you can see the wiring for the various different switches come in there. Very interesting. You can see there's the mag release linkage. I can't get over this feed tube. Look at it. That's amazing. So interesting little piece here. I'm starting to wonder if the other side, the other half of this does come off at all. It appears to be a different, it is definitely a different moulding. It is a different piece that comes off, but I got a feeling that it's not necessary for it to come off. If it's not necessary, then I'm not taking it off. Only what is necessary. Alright, that's pretty cool. I want to get a closer look. Hey, get a load of this. Down here, this is actually a Hall effect sensor, and the switch that does the selecting is actually, I don't know if you can see it down there, just down in here, there's a little magnet there, and the switch is literally moving the magnet in front of the Hall effect sensor. So the switch is literally just a little sliding piece of plastic with a retaining screw there and a little magnet. Just slides it in front of that Hall effect sensor, which is an interesting way of doing it. Incidentally, there appears to be another Hall effect sensor here, which I imagine is for the shot counting on the sector gear inside the box there. But yeah, they're interesting that they go with a Hall effect for the select switch. Yeah, I just found that very interesting, worth noting. This little fire control unit's obviously fairly smart, and I mean those FETs look like no joke. Can I pull this T-piece out? Yes, I can. Okay. The smallest, one of the smallest barrels I've ever seen. Yeah, those FETs, they look like decently sized FETs. They could handle 30 amps, maybe, under certain conditions. I wonder how many gels are still in this tube. Huh, I did a reasonable job of cleaning that out. Alright. So it's probably time that I get this box out of this shell. Interesting. Also, the nice brass spring pins that the contacts for the magazine. No springs, no weird little metal tabs that are going to bend or snap off. Nice quality spring pins. I mean, given the way that the magazine slides in from the side, it seems like a no-brainer to have pins rather than springs, because springs just wouldn't work. But you know, other manufacturers have done weird things, so I like it's nice to see some good quality stuff there. I'm just going to get this out. I'm going to have to remove this spring from the charging handle, and probably the charging handle itself. I can just slide that out, hopefully. The box itself, aside from just sliding off those posts, so I just slid it off, is retained by the wiring. So it looks like we've got the 3 wires for the Hall effect sensor there, and then the main motor wires, positive and negative, and then the little skinnier wires which come off, which run the mag priming circuit. There's obviously got to be, I guess because we've got a MOSFET situation, a fire control unit in there. I guess there's a secondary. Oh yeah, okay, so there we go. I was looking for the diode. There's the diode. I was wondering how they do the mag prime button without the diode. There's got to be a diode, and it's there. Alright, now these wires are permanently soldered on, with maybe the exception of this. Looks like it could be a little plug, but maybe not. I'm not even sure what this little plastic toggly bit that sits on top of that is. But I guess in order to remove this box, I'm just going to have to desolder these wires from the motor, and then I'll be able to free the box. Hopefully, maybe I'll be able to remove this connector with the Hall effect sensor. Maybe the sensor and connector will come as one. I'd rather leave all the wires in situ and just remove the box by desoldering these and then soldering them back on when I put it back in, rather than pulling all the wires out, because the routing of the wires is it's I'd just rather leave it all there rather than having to pull it out and put it all back in again. I just like the fact that it goes where it goes currently and nothing's too significantly pinched, although there's like a loop here and a piece of positive wire there that runs like almost a little too close to the negative switching wire. Thankfully the insulation is strong enough. Yeah, I think I'll just desolder these wires here off of this motor so that we can get this box alone on the table and away from the shell. If you do ever get yourself in a situation like this, don't be scared to just desolder the wires. It's not like a big deal to take them off and put them back on later. It's probably gonna like save you time in the long run, trying to you know, keep the wires together and all that sort of business. I'll just grab this one with a pair of pliers, because there is a diode here as well and it's probably going to get a bit warm. Now, if you are desoldering stuff, a little tip which applies in this situation, you got to give a little to take a little. So it helps to put a bit of solder on to be able to take the solder off. So I'm just going to grab some solder because for whatever reason I don't have any on my bench. Alright, so I'm just going to put a bit on. As I said, give a little to take a little, put a bit on, just makes it easier to take it off, just like that. So that's the motor. Motor wires off. Now I'm just going to work on this Hall sensor. It does have, so it's got this little piece that goes over the top of it, and then it's got a little plug here, and the plug does have a dab of hot glue on there to, I guess, to hold it in place. So might be able to just wiggle that off, get that hot glue out of the way. Hopefully I can get that out without, you know, doing too much. Hopefully that will just kind of slide out. Just gonna have a go. I don't want to be working on the box with the wires dangling off the side of it, and I don't want to have to pull all these wires out. So hopefully I can just get that off. So just looking at this plug, it looks like it actually comes up. So I guess that little tab there, little tab goes on the top there to sort of prevent this from coming up and out. I think it comes up, I think it comes out upwards. Could be wrong. I'm going to try and get some leverage underneath it. There is a fairly significant amount of hot glue underneath it. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so it pushes down in there from the top, and then it does come straight up out. There was a little bit of hot glue applied just here, and there's your Hall effect sensor. One of the cool things I like about this this whole setup here with this MOSFET and these Hall effect sensors for selector and for sector gear is that if this turns out to be a reasonable little fire control unit, there's opportunity here for retrofitting this chipset with these Hall effect sensors into other gearboxes and having it relatively easy to set up, because all you got to do is put a little magnet somewhere. Anyway, that's me rambling. Let's get inside this box. Alright, just in case you are concerned, the motor does have a pink or red dot on the position where the positive goes, so you won't get that mixed up. Positive was on that bottom side, which is going to become the top side because all the screws are facing this way. Does look like it's got solid bushes, which is nice. I like it. Look, what do they look like? 7mm? Oh, let me give it a caliper. I'll measure it. Six 6.1. So 6mm. 6mm bushes. Interesting. I don't know how easily replacements for those would be. Although 6mm, I'm trying to remember. One of the did the Gen 8 use 6mm? I think it used a different size or shape though. It was a bit weird. But anyway, I can also see through this hole there that the gears, whilst having a metal shaft, are nylon inside there. So it's nylon gears on a metal shaft with metal bushes. Alright, while I've got my vernier here, I'm going to measure the barrel. It's 84.5mm long and 7.6, 7.7 maybe? Call that 7.6. 7.6mm internal diameter, which is a big, it's a big diameter for a small barrel. We could probably improve our FPS by replacing this with like even like a 7.5. I might drop 7.5 in that because I've sure got a load of 7.5 offcuts that size. So I might drop 7.5 in there, see if we can spice it up just a wee bit. The cylinder it looks like, so it's 40mm long. I'll measure the ID once I've got it out, but it does look like the standard size that I've seen in like the MP7 and a few of the other SMGs of the smaller variety. Seem to be a relatively standard size in that aspect. Is that the tappet plate? That's the tappet plate. That bit sticking out there is the tappet plate, which attaches to the nozzle via this little side lobe, which is interesting, but if it works, it works. It's kind of cool, which means, interesting, I did see this slot in the T-piece there, and I kind of was wondering a little bit why that was there, but that makes sense now. If the slot's not there, the tappet plate can't get on the side of the nozzle. So that's cool. Alright, let's pull this apart. Keeping in mind that there is a spring in the back here that is under tension and there's no way to quick release it. So when you open this up, there's a high chance of things springing out everywhere. Alright, let's just get in here. Let's get in here and get the screws out. Get it done. One, two, three, four. There's 4 screws holding the whole thing together. Alright. So, my plan is to undo the screws with my left hand while holding the box closed with my right hand. And then, once I've got all the screws out of the way, I should be able to just ease it open. Hopefully not springing the spring everywhere. Okay, so there is just in here, there's like a little tab here, which is what holds the spring in. Oh, that's interesting. The nozzle actually comes completely out when it's allowed to be free from the tappet plate. Alright. Here we go. Watch for spring. I'm going to try and just ease it out the back. Sorry if I'm blocking this with my hand. Alright, there we go. Take the tension off the spring. Now we should be able to release the rest of it. Okay, the motor is, the terminal is holding me back. There is also the spring from the tappet plate, which is putting a bit of tension on things. Alright. Alright. We got that open. Most of the stuff stayed in the same place, except for a few minor little things. This motor is a long shaft. This nozzle is interesting. I like this. We'll come back to that. Let's try and get this tappet plate off. Okay, because there is a spring underneath here, which is the tappet plate spring. Alright, so it's looking all very complicated in there. Alright, let me see if I can sort this gearbox out some. Get this motor out. It's got a very long shaft on it with a little pinion there. And a whole bunch of little nylon gears in here. That looks like the tiny little magnet for the sector gear. Could be there's an anti-reverse there. Everything with very, very long shafts on them. The interesting part for me was this little magnet, which obviously swings past that little window in there, which is where the the Hall effect sensor sits. The spring, it seems pretty stiff for something this small. Yeah, quite stiff. Let's have a look at this cylinder. Where's the nozzle? Interesting little nozzle. Okay, there's not a whole lot of compression going on there. It's difficult for me to check it too, because if the nozzle's the only thing that... So there's a green O-ring on there. That seems like a fairly good little O-ring. It's going to be very difficult for me to test the compression on this, but it's not awesome. But I don't know that I'm going to be able to get it any better either, because very limited with what we're working with here. For those who are interested, I'll do the diameter. Measure the ID, the cylinder for you. 21 mil ID. Looks pretty much sort of standard for the small pistol SMG boxes, like in the Mac 10 and that sort of thing. Yeah, it looks all pretty much similar in that aspect. Alright, I don't think there's a whole heck of a lot I can do here. What I might do, just for shiggles, just push this up against that and see if I can get any compression here. Not sure that I'll be able to, but let's try it. I can't even draw the piston back. It's a good start. Yeah. The seals aren't like spectacular, but also there's like zero seal around this nozzle. So yeah, it is what it is. I guess for a small pistol, that's what you're gonna get. You're not gonna get much better than that. Alright, getting the little anti-reverse catch to stay in place is a little bit of a struggle, but this is how it all comes together. Now, I've got to get this spring in the back here and pop the top half on, and the motor, let's not forget the motor, without the whole lot coming apart. Now, probably the hardest part about getting the motor in is the tabs actually stick out and kind of obscure on these parts of the gearbox, so that's going to be fun. For what it's worth, I think you might be able to get metal gear sets for this, but I don't know if you'll get one with the little magnet for the Hall effect sensor, so yeah. Alright, so I'm going to try and get this. Okay, so I've got negative down, positive up, because gearbox goes in that way and positive was down. Right, okay, so let's try and slide this guy into position without losing all the things. Can I do that? Alright, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. That wasn't too bad actually. Now the spring. This is where it gets interesting. Okay, so I just want to make sure Still got my anti-reverse. Yep, okay, still got the anti-reverse there. Cool, alright. Spring in here. Pop it down in there. Alright, this is the fun part. Can we get it all back together? Oh, that damn motor terminal. Alright. That's going to be the death of me. And my bushes just fell out. Fun. Fun. You guys always want me to film putting it back together, don't you? Alright, so I got gonna get this Did I just lose my anti-reverse? Yes, I did. Okay. Huh. Cut to when I've got this back together. Oh my god. Struggles. The struggle is real. And from behind a tripod. Okay. I think I can get this. Just got to get my anti-reverse. Pop into the hole. Get this gear to pop into the hole. Yeah, there you go. That one, yes, anti-reverse. Now the question is, with all that somewhat lined up, have I got the tabbet plate? Yes, okay, right, cool. My suggestion is that gear there. Alright. Just want to get this gear lined up with the bush. Well, there we go. I've got it all together, lined up. Ooh, yes. Satisfying click. Yes. Alright, cool. Alright, there it is. My suggestion is, if you don't need to mess with this gearbox, probably just don't mess with it. I'm not a big fan of these small gearboxes because, for starters, there's not a lot to do in there. You could upgrade the spring, I guess. The spring is pretty decent though, right? The spring is a decent, it's a decently solid spring. There's no seal on this nozzle. Between here and here, like around between the cylinder head and the actual nozzle, there's no seal. There's no air seal here at all. So, I mean, you're not super efficient at the best. So, I mean, unless you've got a real need to maybe upgrade this gear set, probably wouldn't mess around with this box too much. We might be able to gain a little bit in the barrel diameter, but again, it's going to be so marginal that you'd be questioning why you would be wasting your time. But I mean, for a pistol, it's pretty much it's pretty reasonable for a little pistol gearbox. That's what you expect, I guess. All right, I'll put all this back together. Now, as I'm assembling this, I've taken out the old pink barrel, which was 7.6 or even 7.7 in areas. Probably not the roundest of barrels. So I've taken that out and I've replaced it. I just had an offcut of a barrel that I had that was 7.5, and that one is actually round 7.5. So it's probably gonna do just slightly better than this. I'm not expecting big gains, but I think we should at least get something a bit more. And this barrel's also kind of oval. It doesn't measure perfectly in all dimensions. So I just swapped out that barrel. I'm going to whack that one in just because I mean, why not? Hey, you're there, I'm here, I'm doing it, so I might as well do something. There's not much else that I could actually possibly touch or upgrade that would actually achieve much here, but the barrel did seem a bit dysfunctional, so I'll whack that one in there. Don't lose your front sight post either. It has a habit of just falling out. It just sort of sits in here. Yeah, this is up. Here we go. Alright, so after a little bit of a struggle with that tiny little AEP box, we have got it back together, and I pulled out this original barrel and replaced it with another one. This one wasn't 100% circular, and it was like a little bit oval and a little bit large bore. So I mean, I replaced it. It was I think it measured 7.6, 7.7 in various places, being that it was oval. I replaced it with a 7.5, so we'll chrono it and see what it does, although I'm not expecting big results because it is a very small short barrel, and it's only 0.1 of a mil. Yeah, anyway, whatevers. Let's chrono it, just because people get upset if I upgrade things and then don't chrono it afterwards. But one of the reasons that is because generally there's not that much improvement in actual velocity. There's improvements in other areas. But anyway, here we go, chrono, yay. Alright, here we go. It's not a powerhouse. She's alright though. What we got? Average 164, max of 189. Not bad for a little pistol, but you know, it is what it is. Alright, so there we go, the quasar from Gel Fight. It is an interesting, very not ergonomic space sci-fi blaster. It is cool to have some non-replicas for places that aren't replica friendly. And hang on, I gotta whack the drum in for aesthetics here. All right. So yeah, I gotta say, it's cool looking. Not very ergonomic, but like even when you are right-handing it, see this thing here? It's like it's right in where you put your finger there. So like, I don't know. Anyway, that could be more ergonomic, but it is, you know, it's a sci-fi thing, so it's not designed for being ergonomic or anything. Side note, don't leave your battery connected, because it is a MOSFET that is powered on 100% of the time, so if you leave your battery in there, you'll kill it. That's one thing. This is like turning this safety doesn't actually turn the blaster off, it just stops you from being able to pull the trigger. Blaster is on all the time, remove your battery. Okay, what else? AEP gearbox, don't like those little tiny little gears. Spoiler alert, this is editing Guido from the future, and I've already done this. So yeah, the stock nylon gears aren't exactly the strongest. You can see some of the teeth that should be there are no longer. But I mean, there are metal gears available that fit these. The only thing is, because it is a MOSFET that uses a Hall effect sensor on the sector, you will have to retrofit a magnet to your new sector somehow, if you want to keep semi. What else? We got... Oh, no nozzle seal. Zero. None. Nothing. They haven't even attempted to make a nozzle that seals to the cylinder head. There's literally nothing. So the air seal on it is basically non-existent. It gets the job done, but it's not incredibly efficient. But I mean, it is a fun toy. It's not competitive. You're probably not going to take it to a game and use it on the field, although you could, to be honest. Like, I mean, I've seen people using like the gel storms and that sort of thing, and they're really not that dissimilar in quality and firepower. They're all very similar size cylinders and that sort of thing, and short barrels. So I mean, I've seen worse. It could be good as a secondary, or if you just want to, I don't know, LARP it up, cosplay some cyberpunk stuff. Anyway, not a bad little blaster. Definitely very solid, nice and solid, good solid nylon construction. Wish the nylon gears were a bit more solid. But yeah, other than that, it's a pretty decent little pistol. It does pack a little bit of a punch. 180 FPS max, I think it was, for a AEP with a very short barrel is acceptable. That's an acceptable FPS. I don't know that I've seen many that are better than that out of the box in terms of the very small gearboxes, but yeah, not too shabby. I will leave it at that. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, you can hit me up on the face page for a Low Guido's Chop Shop patch, or you can buy me a coffee in the link below if you are wishing to support the channel in other ways. Shout outs to all the people who have bought me coffee. Shout outs to Adam Hoy. Shout outs to Danny. And shout outs to someone. Someone bought me coffees anonymously. Okay, sweet. Catch you next time. Peace.